We're going to go ahead and start. I'm trying to get closer. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. We'll see if we can move right along here. We've got a couple members running late. We'll start with the roll call, and I have right at the present time 6 members present. Member Woolrab, Member Metzger, and Member Went absent. We do have a quorum. And we'll go on to the approval of the minutes of November 8th, 2021, regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Martin, second by Member Solner. Comments or questions? Discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. We have one member of the public who has applied to appear, Ms. Barbara Hale. Ms. Hale, would you like to come up to the podium? Welcome. You have 5 minutes to speak. There is a button on that microphone that you have to hold down briefly until you get it to come on.
Oh, thanks. In 2016, I was in Europe when the election happened. And everybody that I was sitting at a table with said, wow, that's pretty strange. In 2020, I was in Miami, and I had the same feeling. Well, that's really strange. So since November of 2020, I have followed all the courts, all of the witnesses that from the citizens in every state. I've read it, I've downloaded all the attorneys, and I've been following this thing. And I've been following a gentleman named Colonel James Phil Walden. He was 30 years in our Army, and what he did in the Army was cybersecurity. He was on a team that went to Japan when they wanted to change over their voting equipment, and he was part of that team that the US government sent to Japan. Also, I've been following Sean Smith, a retired Air Force. Walden says the 1st of November until the 5th of November, they started recording the pocket captures. Now, you have to have a really big computer to do that, and it was the US government that did that. I don't know what department, but they did it. To do these, the pocket captures is coding, and it's just like DNA on the internet, but it's millions of them. And for that big of a time period, they could see all the activity that was happening on the internet through servers everywhere. So he let everybody know he had it. He went to Congress. He met with some of the senators and congressmen and said, I have this information, but it's literally going to take months to go through all the coding. Well, he actually released it over Thanksgiving weekend. These machines, and I'll get back to him in a minute, these machines in 2019, the ones you guys are going to purchase or vote on purchasing, there was 20 machines that went to DEF CON, and that was the cyber big convention in Las Vegas. Less than 35 minutes, every machine was breached. One was breached by a 14-year-old. Like Colonel Walden says, they're not even as safe as your Venmo account. That's how bad they are. So before I tell you exactly what the results were from what the pocket captures showed, I followed, this woman was a senator in Philadelphia. She was hired by a physicist, Douglas Frank, and he teaches gifted children. But she hired him because she was the front runner in the 2020. And in the middle of the night, she woke up and the other person won by leaps and bounds. So she hired the professor to see if he could figure out what had happened. So he went into the population, he went into who was registered, and he started looking at all the numbers. Well, he literally broke the code. He discovered there was an algorithm in all of the voting machines, not one county, but every county. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about computers. I've worked with some programmers, and I kept thinking in the back of my mind, Well, wait a minute. To build an algorithm, that would take a programmer to get into that voting machine and set it up. So how did they do it in every county? I mean, I believed his presentation, but in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, how did they do that? Then you guys, I reached out and you guys told me what you were going to be purchasing. And I remembered following all these court cases in Antrim, Michigan, the ES&S DS200. During the forensic audit, they found a modem in the voting machine. They also found one in the same machine in 2016. So all on their website, when they say they're not connected, they are connected. And that is, the modem is not like your internet. That's like the cell service, the towers. You don't even have to chop on the door. You can come in through the modem into the machine. Well, that solved my problem of how did they do an algorithm into the machine. So then he went to the Philadelphia and he went to some congressman and he showed him what he found. He broke the code. And one of the congressmen said, well, this is Philadelphia. Everybody knows we're corrupt. Go to a state that you don't think's corrupt. So he said, yeah, well, I'll go to Iowa. Iowa's safe. So he went to Iowa. He did the exact same thing. And he found the exact same algorithm had been set in those machines. Now, what does an algorithm do? When the votes are coming in, it's set that it will kick in and it'll bring in more votes. They're called ghost votes. That's why it goes up and down. And that's why you have in some counties in the 2020 election, we have 30 counties in the election that went over 110, 120%.
Ms. Hale, your time is up. Would you like to conclude?
Well, I have all the information. Colonel Walden has put together, and he's reaching out to every state, every county, everybody in charge of elections, that he's got a solution you can do. First of all, you have to have open source, meaning you can look at the machines. These machines you're purchasing, you can't look at. And I would just hope that you would postpone this vote tonight and reach out to these people because they're willing to talk to you about the machine you're going to purchase.
Okay, thank you. You can please place on file any information that you so choose with us. You're welcome. We'll move on to the report of the departments, departmental matters, executive committee. I have items A1A and B, appointments and reappointments before you. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by member Solner. Is there a second? Second by member Schaefer. Any comments, questions, or discussion? If none, then all in favor of approving the appointments and reappointments, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion has carried. We're going to item C, request approval of amendments to Chapter 20 of the McLean County Board rules found on pages 8 through 31, and I so move. Is there a motion to second? Second by member Barnett. Comments or questions? Member Erickson, you'll be first, and then member Solner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we taking these all as one? Is that what we're doing?
That'll be an option,
Are we just,
unless you have something that you would like specifically
well, I'd wanted
address.
to propose an amendment, and I was going to propose this amendment at the Rules Subcommittee, but when the items were all taken as one, then I didn't get my opportunity. But in particular, when the inferences or the references are made to gender-neutral language, the grammar is incorrect in those statements, and I would like to see the grammar cleaned up. It would be 2011J, it looks like 2014 E2, and 2020A, C2, and F5. And essentially, I would just like to see that made grammatically correct. And I can propose something. I tried to write something out, but.
If you agree, Member Erickson, if you want to, we can give a directive to our staff, and you can submit those if you want for corrections. Is there any, could you specifically point to one again so we can find it?
Well, it would be, first one would be, let's see, on page 15. I think that is 2011J. And I just think it needs to be written better as soon as members become aware that they are unable. I think you get the gist of what I'm saying here. I just want to make it grammatically correct. If we're going to change it to they or them, then we should just make it all grammatically correct in there. Because the way it's written right now, it's not grammatically correct.
So you're just proposing the consistency,
Yeah, and
Throughout
and
the
the three
grammar.
that I mentioned, yeah, just to make them grammatically correct.
right? All right, is there any objection to that from committee? Okay, then we'll consider that done. We'll direct staff to do that. Would you please consult with Member Erickson and submit to us if you have those marked to our staff, and we'll go through and make the
Thank you,
corrections.
Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Also, and after Jim, I did want to, there is
Okay.
a reason I'm going to be voting no on these, but I would like to explain that at a later.
Duly noted. Member Solner, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This might be a little premature, but I want to thank the Rules Committee and members of the Rules Committee that attended the meetings and worked on this. This becomes somewhat tedious at times, and it's very important work. I'm glad we did what we did. And again, until we get a final approval in our full board meeting, I guess I'll leave my accolades till then. But again, I do want to thank people that did show up and did help with the rules.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Member Erickson, you'd like to have the floor again?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm aware that I'm probably in the minority on this, but I've always supported having an independent land use committee. And it looks like we're going to combine land use and transportation. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to oppose them because I still think we should have an independent land use committee.
Got it? So, anyone else? Comments? Member Barnett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Member Johnston had proposed a rules change that the Rules Committee ended up adopting, and then I don't remember if it was last night or sometime over the weekend, she had sent an email suggesting that part of her proposal be stricken from the approved rules based on some of her conversations, I believe, with Assistant State's Attorney Spanos, and I didn't know if it'd be appropriate to talk about that for a quick moment or to strike out what she had proposed.
I believe we'd have to entertain a motion to amend that rule, that specific
Oh,
rule, which we could do right now.
Sure, I'm happy to.
Could you have any language for us? Would help.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have had that
That's
pulled
okay.
up.
I think the proper procedure would be that a member of executive committee proposed this time. So if you have that, we can take a look at it.
Sure.
Please point out to us the rule if you can. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Is that-
that-
I'm speaking out of turn here. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
I
Yeah, the
I yield the
email,
floor to Member Erickson since he has it in front of him.
I mean, I received an email date, I suppose this is the same email you received, Member Barnett, December 12th.
Yesterday, yeah.
And it just, the language she wanted to add was, and you can correct me where I'm wrong here. Yeah, the second sentence taken out and changed to, we ask that everyone recognize that others in attendance may have differing perspectives than their own and allow others to share their views without interruption. So I think that was her amendment. If that's incorrect, I'll stand corrected, I guess.
I think there was a copy of that email.
Yeah.
And we can take that language with your approval. Anybody have any objection to that? The motion to amend, what is the specific item number, rule number? We have it in front of us.
20-13L on page 19.
19, okay, 2013L. And we do have that language. Is everyone okay with that? If so, I'll call a question on the rules, amendment to the rules, 20-13L, amended as the language that was submitted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Back to our regular request approval amendments to Chapter 20 in all from McLean County Code. And there is a motion and a second to approve. All in favor of the original motion? Opposed?
No.
Okay, let record show Member Erickson voted no. And the motion is carried. I'll go on to the next item, information technologies. We have three items for presentation. Item D1, request approval of additional statement of work with mission-critical partners for records management and jail management RFP, and I will so move. Is there a second? Second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? Member Nelson is here to respond. If none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Item DD2, request approval of casement management system CMS request for proposal award to Justice Technologies Incorporated, JTI. And a motion by Chairman or Member Schaefer. I have a second by Member Metzger. Any comments or questions? I know there was a group here that worked on that, right? Member Nelson, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. We'll go on to item D3, request approval of a contract with Sanborn for digital orthophotograph photography. And I also move. Is there a second? Second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The motion has passed. I want to thank you and your committee for the work that you've done. Thank you all who are here in attendance who've worked on this as well. I'll move on to item E, which is Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. This is not an action item. This is item for information, and I'd like to introduce to you our new Behavioral Health Coordinating Council Supervisor, Ms. Vanessa Granger Belcher. And Vanessa standing back here in the corner. Welcome. And thank you very much. And we'll be looking forward to working with you soon. So congratulations, and we'll be seeing you soon, Vanessa. All right. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody will get to know you. We'll go on to the report of the Finance Committee. Chairman Metzger.
If it's appropriate and approved by the chairperson, I would like to combine
A and B.
B1, A, and B.
Yeah. Is there any objection to combine those two? They both have to do with the operations of the Animal Control Center and the agreement we have.
With the agreement with the city of Bloomington.
And with the city.
And one is sheltering and one is removal of animals.
If
So.
no objection, we'll take those together. Is there a
And I
motion?
so move.
Motion by Member Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Solner. Any comments, discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed.
And B1C, request approval of emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County year 2021 combined annual appropriation budget ordinance general fund 0001, animal control department 0032, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Metzger, second. Anyone? Second by Member Barnett. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
And I just want to make a comment about that. The change was actually made because we have a trust that we're getting money donated, and then we also have significant donations coming. And I think that is, we need to be very thankful for all of that generosity of our community. So I just wanted to acknowledge the reason for that change.
And I'd add that the trust fund has been extremely helpful for the operation of the animal control shelter. Thank you very much. Let's go on to the report of the Health Committee. Chairman Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Committee has no items for action today. We'll have a few items for the board next, not next
Thank
week,
you. We'll
it's
go on to the
Thursday.
report of the Justice Committee. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The justice item has 7 items for action. To make sure I do this correctly, because I didn't do it at justice, I'd like to know if I can combine some of those, and if someone wants to tell me how to present it, I'll present it correctly this time.
Well, precedent in the past years, as you might recall, and some of you, the booking services agreements with the three entities, A, B, and C, we have combined.
So we'll combine A, B, and C?
Yes.
Yes, can I request that, or?
Is there any objection to us combining items A, B, and C? If not, you may proceed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Justice Committee first brings 3 items for action. Item D1A, D1B, and D1C, and these are intergovernmental agreements, and I guess I so move. I don't know why I'm so flustered tonight.
All right.
I don't know what's going on.
Motion by Chairman Erickson, second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The motion is carried.
Next item on the agenda is item D1D, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Bloomington for use of the Bloomington shooting range, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Erickson. Is there a second? Second by Member Solner. Comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item on the agenda is item D1E, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Bloomington, town of Normal, and the county of McLean for the 2021 Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program Award, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Erickson. Is there a second? Second by Member Martin. Comments or questions? Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item on the agenda is item D1F, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Erickson, second. Second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item on the agenda is item D1G, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance, CAC, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Erickson, second. Second by Member Barnett. Comments or questions? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Mr. Chairman, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mhm.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 more items to be presented to the board.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go into the report of Land Use and Development Committee, Vice Chairman Solner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Land Use has 1 item for action this evening. 4E1A, request approval of a text amendment of the McLean County zoning ordinance to delete the definition of a farm. I will make that motion, but then I would also like to make a comment.
Okay, motion by Vice Chairman Solner, second. And have a second? I guess. There is a second by Member Schaefer. Member Solner, you have the floor.
Yes, the letter that I read of that we got from the Farm Bureau mentioned that they wanted to drop the definition as far as where it comes to the amount of acreage, which they said it was in the state law, it's not permitted, and I'll go along with that, but I kind of hate to see us completely drop the definition. I'm sure the word farm must be used in the zoning ordinances or in the manual somewhere else. So I'm gonna vote for this amendment or this item, whatever. But then at full board, I'm hoping to come up maybe with a definition, maybe working with the Farm Bureau, with administration, to find some kind of a definition that we can use to at least keep the term farm in the in our text. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Member Metzger.
I agree with Member Solner on this, and that's primarily because there's another definition, just in the definitions, it's farm dwelling. And so to take out the entire definition would be inappropriate. And I'm not sure if this would be the place, or this has to go to zoning, is that correct? The Zoning Board of Appeals?
It is a text amendment.
So if it's going to the Zoning Board of Appeals, my recommendation is that we send it to them the way we want it to make it. And so I would prefer to have a amendment to this, to do exactly what Member Solner said. A farm is a tract of land that is used for agricultural purposes as defined, not take out the entire definition. That seems incorrect. So I'm not sure how we
So
do
would
that.
you like to propose an amendment to this at this time?
I certainly would.
Okay. And we do have the language recorded? Okay. We're on page 106, 107. all right?
106, it would start, the farm is a tract of land, and then you would take out that is 40 acres or more in size, and it would read a tract of land used for agricultural
Cultural use.
uses as defined.
Okay, there's a motion to amend. Is there a second? Second by Member Martin. Other comments and questions? Discussion, Member Schaefer.
Well, in the letter, and then with Member Metzger's amendment, because I agree with Member Metzger on we need to make sure that a farm is defined in some way, shape, or form. But it asks for the state's attorney opinion or to review the definition, and I guess I'd like, there's nothing in the packet here that has that review in there to give us some guidance on that, please.
Member Johnson and I met with our state's attorney, Mr. Knapp, and discussed this, and he agreed that just taking out that one portion would be the more appropriate.
Okay.
And if you trust my, trust me that we had that conversation, and he agreed that just to take out that acreage portion and leave the remaining would be probably the most advantageous.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other more discussion on the amendment as proposed? Member Woolrab.
It's related to the amendment, I suppose. In our code where we have a description of agriculture, and I put a call in today, but didn't hear back. Whenever a structure is being constructed as an agricultural building on parcels of less than 40 acres of tillable land, and it goes on from there. But so there's 40 acres in another part. I'm not sure if this is what you're referring to, but another part of our code. So I don't know if that part needs to be cleaned up as well. It's not clear to me what the meaning of it is in that context either.
That's a very
Metzger.
good catch. Thank you for that. I did miss bringing that to the table also. Because farms are defined as 40 acres, when there is a structure that's being built, in order to be exempt from
Mhm.
any of the fees, they had to be defined as a farm of 40 acres. So, for instance, when I built my barn, because I didn't have 40 acres, even though it's full of sheep and horses and it's agriculturally based, I still had to pay the fee. Today, we wouldn't define a farm as that, so we could potentially, that would change that. We would need to adjust anything that would define a farm as, or anything with 40 acres.
Now I've got to figure what direction we want to go as a committee with this. My first inclination would be to refer this back to the Land Use Committee to reexamine this. And if
I would
could-
prefer this move ahead and let it go to building and zoning, or not building and zoning, to the zoning board of appeals so they can get it on their January meeting, approve it. Maybe we can give direction if we want to approve today or not address it at all. I'm not sure what the best way to do that. But I'd rather it move ahead and get to the zoning board of appeals so it can come back so we can vote on it in our January meeting.
Then I'd like to entertain that you also incorporate in your amendment Member Woolrab's suggestion in the language?
Yes, I do.
In order to
And if
make
we
this
can
more
get the
efficient?
second to agree to that.
That- Are you agreeable with that, Member Woolrab?
I would agree to that. I'm kind of curious how long this discrepancy has existed and whether we really need to rush, a decision in a month if it's been there for 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
We are not in compliance to state law. And I personally would like while we still have a land use committee and it came through the land use committee, I'd like to proceed through the land use committee and get that completed. That's the reason that I'd like to see
If we move on at
it.
this point in time, this is going to go to our full board for examination and approval with your amendment, if it is approved.
And then it would go to building, or to the zoning board of appeals, and then it has to come back to the full board, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
is that correct, Member Erickson?
I believe that is
Yeah,
correct.
that is correct.
Okay.
I did have a
Okay.
question.
Okay,
When-
well,
my
at this
turn.
point in time, then we have an amendment, a combined amendment now on the floor to vote on. Member Erickson, would you like to comment on the amendment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the rush. Why we couldn't send it just back to land use to make sure we're consistent with everything. I mean, if we've been out of compliance with state law for 10 years, I mean, I don't know what 2 months is gonna make any difference. May not get into the ZBA calendar until February, I guess, may not get there in January, I don't know, but, I'm just curious that maybe they ought to sit down and look at the whole code as Member Woolrab suggested and make sure, hey, where have we got this off in other parts and make sure we have it consistent. And so that's why I won't be voting in favor of this amendment. I'd like to see it go back to land use.
Okay, any other comments? Any thoughts there on this? Okay, then I'm going to propose that we just send this back to land use. If nothing else, they can take a look at it and stand up. But if not, and for one more month, if you'll withdraw your amendment at this time.
I'll withdraw my amendment.
And Member Vice Chairman Solner, is it okay with you as Vice Chairman of the committee to return that?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, any other comments on this? If none, then we will just move on, and this item will be directed staff to bring it back to the land use committee.
That's
For
all the
further-
land use
for
has
further
today. There will be something
examination.
presented to the full board later this week.
All right, thank you very much. Property Committee report, Chairman Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property Committee brings forward 2 items for action to exec tonight. First is 4F1A, request approval of an amendment to amended and restated lease between the County of McLean and the Public Building Commission, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Barnett. Is there a second? Second by Member Schaefer. Any comments or questions? Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Next item is 4F1B, request approval of amendment to contract for operation and maintenance between County of McLean and the Public Building Commission, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Barnett. Is there a second? Second by Member Woolrab. Comments or questions? Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 3 additional items to bring forward to the full board on Thursday.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to the report of Transportation Committee, Chairman Solner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Transportation has no items for action today. There will be a number of bridge resolutions and a motor fuel tax resolution sent to the full board on Thursday. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We're going to item H, report of the county administrator. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, Chairman. Item H1A, request approval of a resolution establishing county board meeting dates for calendar year 2022, and that is on page 120 of your packet.
All right, is there a motion? Anyone? Motion by Member Solner, second by Member Metzger. Comments or questions? I'll have an opportunity to look at the calendar. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you, Chairman. Next up, we request approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board continuing the declaration of a disaster for the COVID-19 virus.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Woolrab and a second. Second by Member Martin. Any comments or questions? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you. Next up, we have H1C, request approval of a subscription agreement with Lexapol. This is on pages 123 through 135.
Is there a motion to approve? Anyone? Motion by member Barnett, second by member Woolrab. Any comments or questions? This is ARPA money disbursements. If none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you. Next up is D, request approval of a contract with Election Systems and Software LLC for election equipment. This again is ARPA funding.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by member Schaefer, second by member Solner. Comments or questions? Hearing none, I'm sorry, member Barnett.
Is the county clerk here?
The county clerk is here and
Okay.
can come up if you have questions.
He's right behind you. Did you have a question? Did you have a question?
I did, yes.
Okay.
There's a
I
spot
guess
on
we
either
can
side of
join us.
Mr. Martin.
This will probably be pretty quick. I almost feel bad you got up. I was just curious, the new voting system that this is proposing to put in place. I saw in the proposal it comes with your new software to tabulate the votes and everything. So will that mean that the public-facing reporting system that's on the clerk's website, will that have a new look or be different, or will it continue to be the same as it has been in the past?
And do you mean for the results,
Yeah,
election results?
right, yep.
Well, actually, we have been wanting, that won't relate to. We are looking to change the face of the elections reporting, which is not necessarily connected to this.
Okay,
We'd like to improve that, and so we're going to be working on that as well.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Member Solner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we have you here, I'll ask you a couple questions then. So then, in the polling places then, will this just be, what exactly, I mean, are they gonna completely remove everything that we currently have and bring on all new stuff? Or can you just kind of give us a little outline of what we will be getting that would be new?
Correct. The iPads will remain the same, you know, where you check someone in, because we got those not too long ago. But the other equipment will be removed. ES&S is going to take care of our equipment for us and has added a discount for that service to our contract.
So
we
the
will
big,
be-
I'm
we'll-
sorry,
We'll be removing all of that equipment.
so the big black 3x3 boxes.
It will be gone. I know you'll miss it in your
Okay,
closet.
okay,
but
and
we're
then
gonna
obviously
take
then
those out.
that unit that slides in there will be a different unit and all that,
That's
so.
correct. Mhm.
Will we still be keeping the ballots? I mean, will they go into a different kind of a box, or what will happen?
It's a whole different operation.
Okay.
And again, in your spare time, you guys and ladies are so busy. All that's very well detailed on ES&S's website.
Okay,
And then if approved, we're going to add even more opportunities for visuals and videos to really walk you through the whole thing and walk the voters through the whole thing. And then, of course, we'll start our election judge training either way, because we're mandated to in February and March.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Member Metzger?
Sorry, I can't talk very well. I just wanted to compliment our county clerk in her development and execution of the vendor presentations, and also the follow-up on that, requesting, we all got ballots, not really ballots, but feedback information that I think she pulled together. And it was quite a very, very good presentation from everyone and her organization of that. And I would say the room was primarily full of judges, election judges. And then there were also people from every of the parties. Each party had representatives there. So I was glad to see the one they chose. It's one I thought was the best, but I also wanted, it was quite comprehensive and very objective. So I wanted to compliment her and her staff on doing that.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to add one thing, thanks to our staff. We've been working on this since April. So it's sometimes when you get involved in something, you don't realize how much is involved, especially, everything is important, but especially with our elections. Went over it with a fine tooth comb. Any concerns about being hacked, modems, anything else you might read or hear about, are all explained through a variety of areas, and we can point you to those should you have people that have concerns on anything. You know, we're very transparent, and this investment of the county with ARPA funds, we take very seriously. And thank you, Member Metzger. We did have Democratic, Republican judges there. We had members from the League of Women Voters. The Republican Party and Democratic Party came. We were very pleased to see that everybody could be aware of our transparency and thoroughness. And huge thanks to the staff.
Thank you very much. I do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other comments or questions, discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? And the motion has carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
There is another item 5, which is our executive committee dates set for this coming year, 2022. That does not require action. You just use these for items for recommendation. With the permission of the committee, I'd like to move to item 6, recommendation of payment and bills and transfers, knowing that we're going to be going into executive session and get this done at this time. Member Barnett, is that?
So move.
Thank you very much. Second by, I really don't need to take action on this, I don't believe. If there's no objection, thank you very much.
A question here?
Yes, sure.
I'd asked the state's attorney about this, and I want to make sure that, I mean, you can see that there's only one person here that still wants to keep land use by itself, so I realize I'm in the minority.
Mhm.
But I would like to make sure that, and I hope the state's attorney has an answer at some point, that do we need to change our ordinance? Because several years ago, we changed the ordinance to say the land use committee had the right to pass ordinances, and then it would go to the ZBA, and then it would come back to the county board. And I just wanted to know if do we need to amend that at some point? I hope I get answers. Should the ordinance be changed to say land use and transportation committee so that it's consistent with everything? So
Let's ask if our state attorney's office to review that and come back to us for an answer by Thursday. Thank you. Okay, all agreed? Okay, I have bills to pay in the amount of $516,625.65, and this is our general fund, shared sales tax, Veterans Administration, ARP Act funding, and some vending machine accounts. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Solner, second by Member Woolrab. Any comments, corrections? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We also have regional planning budget expense in an amount of $13,214.82. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Barnett. Any comments or questions, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Next item we have, which is also on our agenda, is, and I'm going to jump down here to item 2. Pursuant to closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11, litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, and when the public body finds that an action is improbable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered to the minutes of the closed meeting. This time I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Member Schaefer. Is there a second? Second by Member Woolrab. Comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. So at this time, we'll be moving into closed executive session. We'd like to ask everyone to please clear the room.